Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Committee of Adjustment hearing. We have three agendas this evening. We have the Committee of Adjustment, along with the public meeting of planning, and then our regular meeting of council at 6 p.m. or whatever time it gets started after these meetings. So we will start with the agenda of the Committee of Adjustment hearing. Are there any disclosure of conflict of interest? Seeing none. Motion to accept the agenda. Deputy Mayor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Cadell, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry accepts the Committee of Adjustment hearing agenda of Monday, August the 11th, 2025.
Any additions or deletions? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. There are none opposed. Ratify the minutes. Councillor Cadell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Manley, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry accepts the Committee of Adjustment hearing minutes of Monday, May 26th, 2025.
Any discussion on the minutes? Any errors or omissions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion is carried, none opposed. Okay, moving on to minor variances, MV 03-2025, Tyler Ray. Councillor Manley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Madden. It is the recommendation of the Planning Department that the Committee of the Adjustment approve minor variance application MV 03-2025 as submitted.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, Jacob.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The first one for this evening, the owner, Tyler and Jennifer Ray. The applicant in this for this application is actually Mike Ray. So for those of you who remember, we passed a zoning bylaw to allow for 2 dwellings on that property. So the garage that we're going to discuss in this minor variance actually is Mike Ray's property. So it's located at the 2242 Lagan Glenelg Road, which is also County Road 24 in Dalkeith. So that's where it is. It's right on the corner of County Road 34 and 24. A little closer. That's the shape of the property. So it follows the river on the south. You see the 2 red dots. Those are the 2 civic numbers for the 2 dwellings on that property. So it's the one on the right that we're going to discuss this evening. Official plan designation for this property, as you can see, agricultural resource lands, just like all around. And our zoning layer, pretty much the same thing. So it's agricultural all around. We've got a lot of floodplain, on that property. Again, when we did the other zoning bylaw, Mike had to stay away with the new dwelling from that floodplain. So the garage is actually on the north side. So it's away from that floodplain. He didn't have to deal with the Conservation Authority for this application. So the actual zoning is agricultural, special exception, Ag 211. So the purpose for this application is to seek relief from the zoning bylaw for a reduction in the front yard line, so the north property line. The minimum required is 15 meters, but the proposed garage would actually be at 9 meters from the front property line, which is also the County Road 24 property line. So as you can see right there, my little yellow box is where the garage is proposed to be built. So for those, like a couple of weeks ago, we had to reschedule this meeting. It was because this is a county road, and it was, too close to the property line for the counties to just allow it and ask for the application later. So in this case, Mike had to apply at the counties first for the setback permit, and then he came back to us for this minor variance application. So at this time, Mike did receive the setback permit from the county. So the counties let him build where he is, and we've been back and forth with discussion with Mike. And as some of you probably know, Mike has started with this garage, so he did apply for a conditional permit. So he's aware that this minor variance still has to go through, and there's risk with it and everything, but he's allowed to do that, like in the Planning Act and in the Building Code Act, to apply for a conditional permit. And then when this is done, he can apply for the full permit for his garage. So that's why it has started already. So as I explained, there's a required setback 15 meters from the county line, and the garage proposed only at 9. Frontage is not a problem in this case, 152 meters. It's 5.8 5.42 acres of land, and both properties share the same driveway, so the counties had zero issues except for that setback. So that's the site plan that you see there. So you see that 9 point something meters, so we put it at an even 9 just to make sure we're okay. So that's the setback we're requiring here this evening. So 26 by 24 attached garage, so the garage is attached onto the existing single-family dwelling. The location is there mostly because there's like the septic system is there, the floodplain is there, so it's pretty much the only place Mike could build a garage. The driveway is also on the north side of the house, so that's the reasoning behind this minor variance. So as you can see, 15 meters is pretty much where the house is. So if you would be to comply with the minimum setback, there would be no garage, so that's why he's applying for this here. And that's a picture of when the foundations were started. So that's the new house that has been constructed. The garage is going to be in front, so closer to the road, next to the shovel, basically. Another picture there. So that's the view. So as you know, it's right across from Laggan Public School, close to the stop. So traffic is supposed to have slowed down there. The counties had no, like they approved the setback reduction based on the fact that like it's not a full 80-kilometer zone close to the stop. There's a school in front, so it kind of reduces the speed also when you have closer buildings. So they had no issues. And I guess, yeah, that's a view from the other side. You see the school there and the stop sign at the end where it meets County Road 34. As I mentioned, our RCA had no objections either because they've already looked into all this. And Mike had discussed that before too with the Conservation Authority to be able to go up north, and they said it was okay. So the 4 tests of the minor variance, if it confirms with the intent and purpose of the official plan, in this case, it does, because the official plan says that it's agricultural, residential uses are permitted, along with all accessory uses, that's what we're proposing here. Comply with the intent of the zoning bylaw. So the dwelling was permitted to be built as a secondary home, so attached garages are permitted, so it is compliant with their zoning bylaw. Deemed suitable and desirable for the surrounding areas. So that was the one that we were not sure, along with the minor in nature, just to make sure that with the county road, it was okay. As you saw in the pictures, all around, it's mostly agricultural properties and rural residential properties. So it is compliant, I guess, with the neighborhood. And is it minor in nature? Well, in this case, as I explained, reasoning behind the garage being there is mostly because of natural constraints for the floodplain, because of the driveway and etc. So in this case, it's deemed minor in nature. So planning staff's in the opinion that it complies with the official plan, the zoning bylaw amendment, and it is deemed suitable for the surrounding area, minor in nature. So it's the recommendation of the planning department that the Committee of Adjustment approve minor variance application MV03-2025. Thank you, Mr.
Okay,
Mayor.
thank you. Yep.
Does anyone wish to speak in favor or against the application this evening? If anyone wishes to speak this evening, please come to the podium and give your first and last name and your address. Second time, anyone wish to speak in favor or against the application this evening? And a third and final time.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments on this application from members of council? Deputy Mayor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not that it's likely, but if this was voted down, what would he have to do with that building that's under construction?
Well, if, like, I explained to Mike exactly that, because, like, I mean, it could happen. So, Mike, when we issue a conditional permit, Mike, the owner has to sign a letter that he's aware that all applicable law have been not met, et cetera, et cetera. So he would have to demolish and restore back as to original settings. Before that, Mike would probably appeal the decision, just like based on the fact that it's recommended by staff. The counties have already approved the setback, so he would technically appeal. I don't know if he'd win or not. If he would be to lose the appeal and the tribunal would upheld the committee's decision, he would have to demolish everything and restore. Yeah.
Just wondering about.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Go ahead. Councillor Cadell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a comment on that road. There are houses down the road that are as close to the road. Just
Yeah.
precedent.
Yeah, for sure. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? The motion is carried, none opposed. Okay, moving on to MV 04-2025, Salzburg Farms, Inc. Councillor Madden.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Williams. Is the recommendation of the Planning Department, the Committee of Adjustment approve minor variance application MV 04-2025 as submitted.
Okay, thank you. Jacob.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the second one for this evening, Salzburg Farm, Tony and Angie Nussbaumer. The location is 2181 County Road 43. So as you can see right there, so it's just heading west from Alexandria on County Road 43. So that's a little, that's the property in, like the total of the property. As you can see, mostly field, big agricultural operation, a little close up on the farm. So that's what it is there. So you see all the barns are concentrated more on the south end of the property, closer to County Road 43. So official plan designation for that one, rural district. Zoning for that one is restricted agricultural and a little bit of floodplain up north. So I explain it later in my report, but while we have that screenshot on right now, it's zone agricultural restricted, which technically restricts intensive livestock facility. In this case, the existing operation has been in use for way before the official plan was passed in 2000. So in this case, even though it's not in the permitted use, it is deemed legal and compliant with our zoning bylaw. So the purpose for this application, as you can see there, long text. So basically what happens is that the owner is proposing some changes on the farm. He wants to upgrade I guess, upgrade the nutrient management strategy for future upgrades on the operation. So in this case, the what's called a manure storage is too close to both the type A and type B land use around. So I'll explain it later in the slide. So we're actually asking for a minor variance, the second paragraph there. So the manure storage setback distance from type A is actually supposed to be 294 meters, but it's proposed to be 143 meters. So there's a reduction there of 151 meter, so about half. And the other one is same manure storage again for type B land use this time. So type B land use is in like a more condensed, like the town, basically the town edge. So it's technically 588 meters, and we're proposing here 202 meters, so a variance of 386 meter. And as I explained, the effect of this application is actually to permit the expansion of a manure storage, which is part of a whole package of upgrades for this agricultural operation. So the little yellow box that you see there with the red arrow is what's, I guess, not causing the issue, but it's where the location is too close to both the type A and the type B land use. So when we're talking about the setbacks and the distance, it's all from the southeast corner of that little yellow box there, which is actually an existing building. It's currently in agricultural storage. So the building is existing, but the use of the building is proposed to change. So all the setbacks start from there. But as you saw in the reduction asks, I guess, regardless of where it would be on the premises near this operation, it would be too close to land A and land B uses. So whether or not it's there, so that's why the numbers are so high, but I'll explain later, but buildings around protects for odor and etc. So anyway, I just wanted to explain that that's where we're starting our numbers here. So proposed farming operation for future enlargement. So that would include, there's an existing milking barn. It would be changed to a pack milking barn. There's an addition of the building barn that's being proposed. There's a heifer barn addition or change of use in an existing building, outdoor confinement area, earth and manure storage upgrade. There's also some concrete pad, solid manure pad storage. So it's a big package. There's a lot of things, like in the report, there's a lot of text on it. Basically, the owner is his proposed, like he upgraded his nutrient management strategy to be able to do whatever expansion he wants in the future. So whether or not this is done in the near future or not, that's not a problem if the nutrient management strategy is passed. When he comes in the office and applies for a building permit, if it's compliant with this here, he's going to be good to go. So basically, he's just planning for future upgrades on the farm. So yeah, as I explained, only the manure storage is too close and requires this minor variance. So that's what I guess that's what I'm talking about here. So the dry cows, heifers are currently housed in the west portion, in the west half of the pole barn. But in this proposed nutrient management strategy, the east portion of the pole barn would be also the dry cow, heifer, where they would be. It would be the barn for the dry cows, heifers on a pack, so on a manure pack. So because this is considered as a manure storage, this is included in the setback. So just because the change of the use as that building is being proposed, the numbers all start from there. So the minor variance that's applied today, so this is an important thing to know. This agricultural facility, I don't think they had to go through any planning application of sorts as of yet. So now, because the use has been there for many years, rules have changed, regulation have changed, this minimal distance separation documents have come into place by OMAFRA. So all of these numbers are super huge, but the last line that's there, nutrient unit, would be increased from 188 to 203. So it's basically only a 7% increase in nutrient units, which is basically what creates the odor. So at the end of the day, the minor variance that we're asking here is not as big as it looks like. It's only because because of its existing location being close to town, basically. So yeah, as I explained, all the manure storage that are existing on site are already too close to both the neighboring dwelling and to town. The owner is aware of that. The way the barn is functioning, it's not creating any issues. There's no complaints to OMAFRA whatsoever. And in this proposed upgrades, there's actually more manure that's being transferred into a solid manure. So I'll show on the next page right there. So on the solid manure pack, which is, I guess, less smelly than liquid manure. So more of the manure is going to be solid now. So all the orange rectangle that you see there are the largest change in building and building use. So the one on the top left, this actually currently 2 earthen liquid manure storage. These are going to be combined. They're still going to be used for the wash barn, etc. And then the one just on the right, that's a new concrete pad that's going to be used for solid manure. The one just below that, attached to the building, is actually a future potential proposed addition to the milking barn. The use within the existing milking barn is being changed to a solid pack. So as you can see, there's a lot of things that are being proposed here, but the one on the bottom right corner, the expansion of the heifer pack barn, is the one that we're discussing here for the minor variance. So the setback is from that manure storage. All of the other setbacks are okay. So I don't know if I put it in the slideshow there, but so when we do the MDS calculation, the MDS2 calculation, so they they take all the numbers from both the buildings and the manure storage to the neighboring dwellings, the neighboring, in this case, city town, the city border, Alexandria, to the nearest road and to the nearest property line. So in this case, the buildings are completely compliant, even like the future potential building. It's only that manure storage location that's too close. But if you look at that picture there, so the location that's closer to the dwelling and the town border is actually the pack barn. So it's not really where the manure is going to be stored. It's going to be stored on the concrete pad and in the existing earthen lagoon. So it's actually kind of hidden behind the buildings. So the owners are trying to mitigate, I guess, as much odor as they can. But as you can see, most of the smell is already there. There's not a large increase. So again, that's why I just wanted to explain with that picture. So that's the actual radius that we had to, did I skip one? No. The actual radius that we had to comply to. So this is like you see the little black dot with the white arrow, that's expanding the manure storage to type A setback. So the purple circle that you see, so technically, as soon as there is a dwelling within that circle, we have to apply a minor variance because that dwelling is considered too close to the odor. So in this case, there's 3. What we do is we take the closest one dimension. As soon as it's 1, they need to apply for the minor variance. So all the other ones have been notified as well. And my next slide, sorry. So that's the one, that's the, I guess, to the type B land use. So because, as you can see, the settlement boundary for Alexandria is right there, the setback for a town is bigger because you need to make sure that it's more intensive, so there's more people living there. So that's the previously the IHA land or the Ladouceur subdivision. That's right there. So most of that property is in that circle. There's a whole lot of other properties that are also within that circle. So in this case, we were discussing about the enhanced notification a couple of weeks ago. So I just want to let council know, we had advertised that minor variance with a setback as required 60 meters around the property. So just to show the difference, what we have done now, we have done the buffer, but at 588 meters, based on the fact that that's the number we get from this year. So what we decided is that we took a 588 buffer all around the property. So basically, instead of just doing a 60-meter buffer, the road in this case is like just the road width is 25 meter. So 60 meters is just like a thin sliver all around the property. So we've expanded our notification. So we've sent letters. There was 115 letters, I believe, that were sent to all the people in town, all the people that are basically affected by this, because it just made sense that if you're within that 588, whether or not you're in the minor variance requirement for 60, you still need to be notified. So we did notify it to everybody. We did not receive any comments or concerns from any members of the community, or like there's a lot of industrial properties within there too. The hospital is in there, so there's no concerns about anything from a, I guess, public standpoint. I guess the Conservation Authority were also involved in the sense that, as you can see where the circle is, it's within our watershed intake. So for the lake, for the water, so we take water from the pond, and the owner are within that setback for manure spreading, etc. But the Nussbaumers have, I think they either have discussed directly with them or via their consultant with the Conservation Authority, and when they spread, and they have taken measures to ensure that it's not affecting the water intake for the water for both Alexandria and Maxville. So that has been also reviewed and was all okay with the Conservation Authority. So again, the 4 tests. So conforms with the purpose of the official plan. Well, as I mentioned, it's rural, official plan's rural district. So rural district permits agricultural uses. So it is compliant. Complies with the intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. It's zoned agricultural restricted, but as I explained, it existed before. So that's being deemed compliant, deemed suitable and desirable for the surrounding areas. So this is why we kind of advertised for a larger buffer. We wanted to make sure that everybody was notified. The use is already there. So I guess I will just slide to my next slide here. So the reasoning, so even though the numbers are very large, like I admit, they're big reductions, staff is recommended for this minor variance to pass because of these. So this is the reasoning behind our thinking. So the operation has been going on since before passing this zoning bylaw. So there's nothing new here. The smell already exists. The farmer are already there. All other minimum setbacks are being met. Sorry. So aside from the manure storage, there are no new nuisances. So there's only the smell that already existed. The farmers have used the fields, the spread already there. So there's nothing new that will come from this new nutrient management strategy setback. Manure storage location is already too close. So it's simply because it was never evaluated against the MDS document that we have to do this now. And the setback distance from any manure storage is closer because it is within that pack barn, but it's not where the actual manure is going to be stored. It's going to be stored in the earthen lagoon and on the concrete pad. So it's being hidden from buildings around. So that's our reasoning. Just a few pictures. So that's the house. That's the building. So the right half, I guess, of that is going to be changed into the heifer pack barn. So that's where it's going to be. So as you can see, it's very far from the road. A little close up right here. So that's where it's going to be. Again, may not be in the near future. It's just for potential constructions. Looking, I guess, east towards Alexandria, looking west towards town. So as you can see, it's outside in the country, mostly rural residential properties. So based on these facts, it is the recommendation of the Planning Department that the Committee of Adjustment approves minor variance application MV04-2025. And if the committee have any questions, the owners are here and they have offered to answer any questions that council may have. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Jacob. I'll ask the clerk, or CAO clerk.
Does anyone wish to speak in favor or against the application this evening? A second time, does anyone wish to speak in favor or against the application this evening? And a third and final time?
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your report. Jacob was very thorough, and I know we had a chat this afternoon. You were able to answer some of my questions. I just want to say good job on the enhanced notification. I think in this instance, it was a smart thing to do, and thank you.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll echo the deputy mayor's sentiments. Good job. I like the report. You said 115 letters went out?
At least, yes.
Okay. No complaints, no comments, no nothing from anybody? Not a peep?
Zero.
Good.
Not even a phone call.
And I just want to make sure I did some numbers on this. We're looking at the type B is town, right?
Correct.
So that's the one that had the 588, and we're proposing it goes to 202. So we're looking at reducing it by basically 65%.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. I guess the only future concern is if there's complaints in the future, for whatever reason, what remedies would there be?
Any complaint regarding an agricultural facility has to go to OMAFRA directly, so to the provincial government. The document that the reason why this exists was created by OMAFRA, and the minor variance is the solution to this. I mean, this happens all over the place, and yeah, the remedy would be to go to OMAFRA basically. OMAFRA in this case will rely a lot on the fact that the nutrient unit are very close to the same, like I think it was 188 to 203.
Yeah.
So 5%, well, a little bit
7,
more
yeah.
than 5, yeah, 7% increase. So they will rely a lot on that. So this, like the smell exists today, even if you had 7% of the smell, the increase in the increase in nutrient units will not create any adverse effect on the neighboring properties. There's, like, as we all know, Ladouceur subdivision is being discussed here or whatnot. They were also fully made aware of that. Like, I even called them to make sure they're aware, because they completely understand it's a rural community. There's farmers around, and that's the first thing they said as well. They said, well, the barn already exists. What does it change? I kind of agree with that point. So.
Yep. Okay, good. Thank you.
Go ahead, Councillor Manley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Jacob, you mentioned that not in the near future. Tony and Angela, what are you thinking of? Are you thinking in the next 10 years, the next 15 years, 20 years? Yeah, please.
I know you're. Yeah, so my name's Tony Nussbaumer, owner of Salzburg Farms with Angie. So our intentions really would be going forward. We do, regulations within our industry have changed. Yeah. There's requirements for bigger housing areas for animals, improvements for animal welfare, and that's a part of us looking forward to how we're gonna meet these new regulations. And that's gonna require some modifications to existing buildings. And that's, as Jake was pointing out, that's why there's not a like a big nutrient unit increase. We're basically taking what we have and housing it in a comprehensively more humane and more up-to-date manner. So, you know, some of the housing changes we're proposing are actually going to be separating the fibers out of the manure, which will help to reduce the odor emitted.
Right.
But it requires some concrete storage pads to store the separated fibers. You know, by introducing more pack areas for the animals to have natural lying behaviors. I think these are all progressive things, but obviously with expansion in town and expanding rural or housing, it makes sense to us to kind of look forward before we make these investments, that we're actually able to do these things. And that's why we're really here seeking these minor variances. We had this discussion with Jacob, you know, that if we can kind of have these variances approved, make our vision known to council, to the community, and answer any questions that may arise, that we can continue to be good neighbors, good stewards. We've had a tremendous relationship with our neighbors, with the town, with the community, and we want to continue to do that. I think we can very happily coexist. And if we're taking measures to, you know, with in mind our neighbors, I think it's the way forward. You know, I think that we should really work collaboratively on this. So, but yeah, we are hoping to maybe make an addition to the dairy barn next year. Again, it's, you know, the nature of a supply managed industry. We cannot. It's not going to be a mega barn. It's not going to be a 1,000 cow dairy. This is, you know, we're milking, you know, about 80 cows now. By the time the barn is done, maybe we could milk 100, but we'd have to actually be able to purchase the quota license to milk that many cows, which is a very slow and arduous process right now. So realistically, that may be a my lifetime time frame before we can even grow to that, to maximize the capacity of the barn. But it made sense to kind of come forward with this now, discuss it openly, publicly, have the approvals so that going forward, we can make the appropriate changes without, again, having to, you know, have the uncertainty of not knowing, like we talked about in the first situation where you start processes and then you run into a roadblock and potentially be forced to stop and decommission everything you've started. We don't ever want to be in that situation. We'd rather work progressively towards solutions if there are any issues at all. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Any further questions or comments at this time? Go ahead.
I think this falls perfectly into the sensitive category, and expanding the notification was a great idea, and no complaints from anybody. That's should fine. Any future residents moving in know they're moving in next door to a farming operation. So.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor of the motion? The motion is carried. There are none opposed. Okay, thank you. Moving on to MV 05 2025, Mark DeLorme, Deputy Mayor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Cadell. It is the recommendation of the Planning Department that the Committee of Adjustment approve minor variance application MV 05 2025 as submitted.
Okay, thank you. Jacob.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the owner for this file, Monsieur Marc Delorme, location 270-272 Industrial Boulevard in Alexandria. My little arrows, it's in the top left corner of town. So it's on the northwest end of town on Industrial Boulevard, right in front of the rare plant, basically. So that's a little close-up of the property. So this screenshot was taken while the foundations were poured only, so that's what it is today. So there's an existing building, and then there's a new building, I'll explain later, that's built on the west side of that, and it's right beside close to the water tower. So that's the site plan. So you see the lines there, we'll see them a bit clearer a little bit later, but there's basically an old institutional building that was there before. We changed both the official plan and the zoning to residential and R4. The owner was able to change the existing building into a 5-unit apartment building, and then he went after and constructed a 4-plex townhome building, I guess, on the west side. So it currently sits all on one parcel of land. So there's currently 9 units on that property. So the purpose of the application So the owner went to the counties to do a severance for this application. So again, I'll go back. So basically, he wants to separate the two buildings. So he wants both buildings to have each a lot, a proper lot by itself. So in this case, frontage was an issue and landscaping was an issue because it's R4. It's our only zoning, residential zoning that has a requirement for landscaping. So in this case, the retained portion, it lacks frontage, of course. It only has 24 meters of frontage where 30 is required. So asking for minor variance for that. And also for the reduction and the 35% proposed for open space to 0%. So basically that lot closer to the road has a large parking lot for all the units. There's lots of parking. There's more than required. And it has the building on it. So there's basically zero green space on that property. And for the severed portion, there's a lot frontage that we're asking for a minor variance. So the effect of this application, so it's basically because the counties have already approved the severance, so conditional approval, they call it, and then there's all these conditions. Conditions 4 and 5 of that severance is that the owner gets those, the minor variance to be able to separate the building. So that's the little screenshot there of our severances. So the blue is separated from the pink, basically. So as you can see, the pink portion only has 7 meters in frontage and the blue has 24. So both do not have the required 30 meter in required frontage. So official plan designation, residential district within the urban settlement area of Alexandria. The zoning, in this case, it still says institutional because it was not updated yet, but it's actually R4. So all of that strip of land there was all changed to residential for density. So it's completely compliant with our zoning bylaw. So as I mentioned, the lot area in this case are fine. So 1295 when there's only 965 meter required, and then the other one is 2634 when 920 is required. So the size of the property is large enough. As you can see, it's really just because it's narrow at the road that this is required here. Again, for frontage, I mentioned it before, but 30 is required. We have 24 and 7. So I'll here, okay, yeah, this is just the reduction in the minimum landscape from 35 to 0, which is the property that has the existing 5-unit apartment building. So that's what it is now. So as you can see, the owner, in this case, he paved the whole laneway. And basically on the property, like they will share the actual driveway, but the property line is going to be in the middle of that pavement. So you will, like this is one building, that's the 5-unit building right there. And so I'll show it there. So all the parking lot is all paved and then there's the building. So there's no landscape, but the one beside, there's some behind, and there's some at the back too and on the right side. So that's the new, so all of these, there's 4 units there. They have all been given occupancy and final, I believe. So you see the driveway, there's arrows on the ground. So just to let council know, both buildings will have enough, like there's a 6 meter for fire route. So fire was not an issue either. The entrances are wide enough. It will, like the lawyer will explain that they're sharing the pavement right now, but the frontage is actually completely separate. So there's no right of way or easements in this case. It's really just the owner decided to pave it all like that, just for a commodity for circulation, I guess, on the property. And that's a view of the entire property. So as you can see, the existing building that was institutional is there with the newer building at the back. There's no issues for like all the servicing is all done on the property. There will be some agreements that have to be done because I think one of the services pass on the south side of the building. Besides that, everything is separate. No issues for storm. As you can see, everything is going towards the back of the property. There is enough. We did not ask for a grading plan when you build that because the owner was able to demonstrate that there's enough land around the pavement to take the water. So it's our property. It's the township's property on the north and west side. There was no issues for grading. Yeah. So in this case, building reduction. These, as I mentioned, the driveway is shared. The civic numbers are not shared. So we've issued 270 for the 5-plex and 272 for the 5-plex, so they will be, sorry, for the fourplex townhomes, so they will be completely different address on different lots. SDG, they gave their conditional approval already, so they agree with this change. No other major comments have been submitted, so this is, this is looking north, so you know where it is, right next to the tower. Across the road there are all mainly industrial properties. The buildings have been there for a while now. The tenants, we've received zero complaints from either the residential side or the industrial side. Like, it seems like it's working really well. There's no nuisance that are creating complaints or whatnot. So the conditions will remain exactly as is. So it's not like there's a development proposed or anything. We're just taking the two buildings and separating them together. So neighborhood-wise, it's going to stay the same. Character is going to be exactly the same. So the 4 tests conforms with the intent of the official plan. It is residential, so that's not a problem. Complies with our zoning bylaw. It does, except for lot frontage and the open space, as I explained. Deemed suitable and desirable for the area and minor in nature. So in this case, our biggest reasoning was the fact that both buildings already exist. They already use that entrance, and it's creating zero issue. So it was deemed for us as a minor in nature. So based on this, it's the recommendation of the Planning Department that the Committee of Adjustment approves minor variance 05-2025. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Jacob. Questions or comments? Deputy Mayor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just curious, out of curiosity, why is he severing those two properties?
He currently lives in one. He thought he was going to want to keep all of them, but he wants to sell the fourplex. Mark wants to sell the fourplex townhome, the new ones, or at least be able to sell them. Something important that I did not mention is that even though they're townhomes, they will not be able to be split like townhomes that faces all the road, like all being split. These will not be, they won't be able to do that because they will have zero frontage. So whoever buys that fourplex townhome, he buys all the 4, and they're like 4 apartments basically.
Rentals.
Yeah.
The rentals, yeah.
And the shared driveway isn't an issue and won't be for separate owners or anything like that?
If, like I talked about that with Mark, and if, like, let's say he sells one of the properties and sells the other one to 2 neighbors that don't get along, they both have enough frontage to do, like, they could just say, the pavement that's there, we're gonna get rid of all that and completely do 2 separate entrances, and that would not be a problem, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Go ahead.
Does anyone wish to speak in favor or against the application this evening? A second time, does anyone wish to speak in favor or against the application this evening? And a third and final time?
Okay, thank you. I will call the vote. All those in favor of the motion? The motion is carried. There are none opposed. Moving on to our final minor variance of the evening, MV 06-2025, Richard Viancourt, Councillor Cadell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Manley. It is the recommendation of the Planning Department that the Committee of Adjustment approve minor variance application MV 06-2025 as submitted.
Okay, thank you. Jacob.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the application for the application owner for this one is Monsieur Richard Vaillancourt. It's located on Kenyon Concession Road 1. So right on the map here, you can see the purple box on the bottom of the screen. So that's the property. It actually borders South Glengarry. So as you can see right there, it's just heading west on Kenyon Concession 1 from County Road 34. So that's the entire property there. That's what we're discussing. So from the entire property, you see the little pink box that I drew up there. So that's the lot that we're discussing here. There's a lot of area, so it's really just that small lot we're discussing right there in the middle of existing lots, basically. So in this case, I guess I'll explain it later, but the purpose for the application for this one, it's because that small lot It does not have the required lot frontage of 45 meter. It only has 30 meters, and it also does not have the minimum lot acreage. Requires 1 acre, and we're proposing 0.64 acres here. So the effect of this application, so same thing as the other one. The owner, M. Vaillancourt, went to the counties and applied for a severance for this lot, and it was conditionally approved. But two of the conditions was that he got this, this minor variance there for lot frontage and lot area, because it does not comply with our zoning bylaw. So that's where it is. So as you can see, most of the rural residential properties that are around have the same character, same style, and same size of property. So that's why it's basically being deemed minor in nature. So originally, just to mention, there's two severances that were applied simultaneously with this property. One is the top right corner, which is actually, it's finalized and it's sold. There's actually a development of a residential dwelling that's going to happen there soon. But the lines on the GIS were not drawn properly, so both the township and the counties were under the impression that both the frontage and the area was okay. But when we looked at the surveys, once the conditional approval was given, we realized that it was not. But M. Vaillancourt demonstrated that, clearly, the pink box that you see there was not detached, but you can clearly see that the plan was to detach it eventually. So that's why it was still deemed compliant with the counties, and the conditional severance was approved regardless of these two reductions. So official plan designation, rural district. So new lots are encouraged actually in rural district. I think you can see you can see the lines right there. So that's the way they were drawn before. So up top there, you see the 3 lots, and there's a lot more space in between. So that's what we all had for information before. And the surveys are not confusing, but there's a lot of lots, and some of them were separated and some of them were not. So there's like an additional lot in between there, and that's what created the confusion. So that's why we had to do this. And that's our our zoning layer. So it's all zone rural. The property is 74 acres, 74.64 acres in total, and we're proposing to detach 0.64 acres. So if this is being deemed compliant there, both properties will be able to be developed, to have a dwelling on it, etc. Lots of room for septic, dwelling, accessory buildings. The lot that is being proposed here is 30 meters by 79 meters. So there's lots of room to do the development. There's a property just west of that already has all that. So here is where the minor variance is required. So because of frontage, so we are only proposing 30 meters when 45 is required. And the other one, as I mentioned, is the acreage. So these are, that's the property right now. So you see the house on the right, that's the lot that exists and that is already developed. So there's a single family dwelling on it with a septic system. No issues for setback, no issues for stormwater either. There's one existing driveway on the existing, we don't see it there, but it's there, but that exists for the large 74-acre property. A new driveway could be issued for that property and for all the other properties as well. Same thing for civic numbers, so they could all be issued. There's no other major issues in this fact because it's being it's rural, so the consents in rural districts are actually encouraged. So it was not an issue. It was really just those two things, and that's it. So as you can see, that's looking east, that's looking west. So it's all mainly the same properties. I just want to go back to there. So as you can see, most of that area of Kenyon Concession 1 is all rural residential properties that all have basically the same style. So that's our main reason for this being recommended to be approved here. It's just because a lot of properties in the area are like that. There's no issues for setbacks for septics. They may be close sometimes. They have to flip like from front to back of the house, but it's not there's no major issues. So this is actually encouraged. And again, just going back to the 4 tests, the official plan, it's a rural district. Our zoning bylaw, it's in rural, so it's exactly in these areas that we want consents to happen for residential development. deemed suitable and desirable for surrounding areas, so this is what I've just explained. And minor in nature, well, it's kind of the same reasoning, just it being the fact that all the neighbors are the same. So it is the recommendation of the planning department that the Committee of Adjustment approve minor variance application MV06 2025. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments? We'll ask.
Does anyone wish to speak in favor or against the application this evening? A second time, does anyone wish to speak in favor or against the application this evening? And a third and final time?
Okay, thank you. Call the vote. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, none opposed. And I will ask Councillor Manley for an adjournment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Madden. There being no further business to discuss, the Committee of Adjustment hearing was adjourned at 6:21 PM.
All those in favor? Motion is carried, none opposed. We'll move right into the public meeting of planning. Are there any disclosure of conflict of interest? Seeing none, motion to accept the agenda. Councillor Madden.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Williams, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry accepts the public meeting and planning agenda from Monday, August 11, 2025.
Okay. Any questions on the agenda? All those in favor? Motion is carried, none opposed. And ratify the minutes of the public meeting of planning for Monday, May 26th. Deputy Mayor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Cadell, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry accepts the minutes of the public meeting of planning of Monday, May the 25th, 2025.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, none opposed. Moving on to zoning bylaw amendment A, Z04 2025, Wilco Finger. Chuck up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So yeah, the applicant and the owner, Mr. Finger, the location 1851 Dalkeith Road, which is County Road 23 in Dalkeith. So as you can see right there, so it's basically the northeast corner of Dalkeith. That's a little close up of the property. So it comprises of all that area there, south of the river, and then it goes all adjacent to Dalkeith, to the town, to the rural settlement area of Dalkeith. So that is what is being discussed this evening, Mr. Mayor. So this is a severance layer. The pink portion is being separated from the blue portion. So the purpose of the application is to rezone the retained portion to prohibit residential development and to rezone the severed portion to prohibit agricultural use. So this is basically our most typical surplus dwelling zoning bylaws that we do. In this case, it's even more straightforward because frontage is enough, lot area is enough, all the setbacks are met for all the buildings, so everything is compliant. So it's basically the effect just to comply with the condition of the severance application 55-25 to separate the house from the remainder of the property. So this is, too quick. So that's what's being separated. So basically all the purple area is agricultural. It will remain agricultural. In this case, the pink portion is closer to town, but it's not within Dalkeith, so it's going to be severed off. And the property, there's already actually a dwelling on it, and it will remain as is. As you know, we are applying this zoning bylaw to prohibit residential on the purple portion here. Official plan designation, agricultural resource lands. Zoning designation, so restricted agricultural, so most of the property, like the darker purple, is restricted ag, so there could not be an intensive livestock facility there, and the rest is general ag, and then there's some floodplain. So it's both agricultural portions, so restricted and general, that we're rezoning to prohibit any residential dwelling. So the use of both portions is going to remain exactly the same, so I just want to note. I know we did receive some phone calls for that one for something, I don't know why, but word has been spread out that there was going to be a solar farm. This is completely false. I discussed with the owner and he was flabbergasted by this idea. It's really for agricultural use. It's the typical farming, a separation of the dwelling, surplus dwelling. So it's really just to be cropped, and the house is being severed off. That's the reasoning behind this here. So the acreage, as you can see, 74.5 will remain for the ag portion. Our minimum is 74, so that's good. And the severed portion, which is the residential, 2.9, and our minimum is 1. So both compliant with zoning bylaw. Frontage, also lots, retained portion, which is the agricultural portion, 281 on County Road 23 and 646 meter on County Road 24. So it's got lots. And the severed portion has 75 meter of frontage on County Road 23. So both are compliant. And then just the other important facts. Currently used as residential and field, so there's 0 proposed changes in that. So we're really just creating a property line to separate these two properties and applying these zoning layers. There's one building only, a single-family dwelling, to be kept with the residential portion. All the setbacks are compliant for the building and for the septic system, and there's also a little pond that's being kept with the residential property just to keep the existing character. There's 0 buildings on the agricultural portion. There's one existing driveway for the that's one existing driveway for the agricultural portion, so that entrance is existing. It's just north of the library going out of Dalkeith. And then there's another entrance for the dwelling, also on County Road 23, that has a civic number that will remain. Another civic number could be issued for the ag portion, but right now it's not in question. So that's just pictures of the property. That's the entrance right there. The dwelling, the existing dwelling, there's a little pond on the right, and then all around it will just remain exactly as is fields. There may be a bit of clear cutting, but it'll remain for crops. And yeah, that's just a view of across the road. That's looking north and looking south. So Dalkeith is just down the road there. The stop is just there. All around is mostly agricultural properties on the north, east, and west. So as you know, the Planning Act gives council authority to pass these bylaws. PPS and SDG, the only exception when you can sever off in ag lands is when you do surplus dwelling as such, and when we pass a zoning layer as that one there. So that's why we're applying this layer. So in conclusion, based on the criteria above, proposed zoning amendment conforms to the policies of SDG official plan, consistent with PPS, and it's compliant with the township's zoning bylaw. So just a reminder, voting from member council would happen at the subsequent council meeting. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments this time? Go ahead, Councillor Madden.
Nothing about the property, just a comment on your report format that you changed up. Good job. Much more
Yes?
readable and conveys the information much more efficiently.
Okay, perfect.
Okay,
They're easier to write.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Go ahead.
Does anyone wish to speak in favor or against the application this evening? A second time, does anyone wish to speak in favor or against the application this evening? And a third and final time?
Okay, seeing none. Councillor Cadell, adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Manley. There being no further business to discuss, the public meeting of planning was adjourned at 6:28 p.m.
All those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. Okay, moving into our third meeting. We have fallen a little bit behind, so I'll just skip the... So I'd like to just call the meeting to order. Are there any declaration of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof? Seeing none. Motion to accept the agenda. Councillor Manley?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Madden, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry accepts the agenda of the regular meeting of Council on Monday, August 11th, 2025.
Thank you. Any discussion on the agenda? All those in favor? Motion is carried. None opposed. Adoption of the previous minutes. Councillor Madden.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Martin, that the minutes of the following meetings be adopted as circulated. Regular meeting of council minutes Monday, June 23rd, 2025. Committee of the whole minutes Monday, July 23rd, 2025. Special meeting of council minutes Monday, July 23rd, 2025. Those were Wednesday.
They were. So, as amended?
As amended.
Okay. Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor of the motion as amended? Motion is carried. None opposed. Okay. There are no delegations this evening. Staff reports, Administrative Department, AD 2025-05, Council Code of Conduct. Councilor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Williams, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry receive staff report AD 2024-05, Council Code of Conduct, and the council approves the attached policy, and that bylaw 25 be read a first, second, and third time and enacted in open council this 11th day of August 2025.
Okay, thank you. Madam CEO.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I did not receive any comments or any concerns from anyone after our meeting at Committee of the Whole. So this was just our Council Code of Conduct. And certainly we'll be forwarding a copy of this to our Integrity Commissioner following the meeting tonight.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments? I just, something I was remiss is just under, we saw what happened in the city of Cornwall. A complaint came in anonymously and it was presented that way. Under the Integrity Commissioner, is that not something that can be mandatory, or is that something that the province set out and did not include?
Through Mr. Mayor, I'm not really sure if we can take an anonymous. I know in bylaw, for instance, we do not take anonymous calls, so I can certainly speak to our Integrity Commissioner, see if we can add that in. And I do agree. I know even online we've been seeing some of the anonymous, and it's not the greatest way to communicate. So certainly I can speak to Tony and see what he thinks.
Well, I just think if somebody's bringing a complaint against a member of council, that we should know who's doing this, and that it's not frivolous or.
Do we not have in there that it was there's a preliminary process to address it?
Well, that's if it's an informal, somebody just
yeah.
calls in and says, hey, look, Councilor McDonald, I think, or Mayor McDonald, I saw him doing something, and, she would approach me, or whoever would approach me, and we would have a discussion about it. That's the informal, but if a formal process went forward with a formal complaint that went through to the Integrity Commissioner. So, okay, maybe if we can just find that out. Otherwise, everyone is good with the Code of Conduct? Okay. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. None opposed. Okay, moving on to Community Services Department, CS 2025-14, ICE startup dates. Deputy Mayor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Cadell, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry approves the startup date of the Glengarry Sports Palace of September the 10th, 2025 and September the 21st, 2025 at the Maxville and District Sports Complex.
Thank you. Stephanie, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As presented to the Committee of the Whole, we are seeking Council's approval for the indicated startup dates for the ice times at the two arenas in North Glengarry. Since the Committee of the Whole meeting, we've received no further feedback or objections from any of the ice users surrounding those startup dates.
Okay, and have we received any more requests for time slots?
Yes, through
We
Mr.
have.
Mayor, they continue to be ongoing.
Okay, perfect. Questions or comments? All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, none opposed. Moving on to CS 2025-15, Ease Grant Funding Opportunity. Councilor Manley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move on myself, seconded by Councillor Madden. The Council of the Township of North Glengarry Council received staff report CS 2025-15, ease grant funding, and that council directs staff to apply for the funding through the Enhanced Access to Spaces for Everyone grant in support of accessibility upgrades to the elevator at the Glengarry Sports Palace for an amount not to exceed $60,000.
Okay, thank you. Stephanie?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So located within the Glengarry Sports Palace on the north side of the building, we have a hydraulic elevator that's used to transport users and staff in transporting supplies to and from the second floor, landing at the Michel de Prado Hall. This elevator is original to the building and was installed in 1976. It continues to undergo regular maintenance, and we're very fortunate this time that it's still operable, but as noted within my report, due to its age, the controller system of the elevator is deemed obsolete, and costs and repairs associated to this project are just not eligible for the nature of the equipment that we have within this elevator. As such, in the fall of 2024, the Community Services Department did hire an elevator consultant to come in and do a full assessment of the elevator, and has recommended a full modernization of the elevator. Some of the benefits in doing so would ultimately make sure that the elevator can be connected to the new emergency generator that was recently installed at the Glengarry Sports Palace, so that in the event of an emergency where we did need to make the Glengarry Sports Palace an emergency shelter, there would be access for either anyone who's in the elevator presently to safely exit, as well as the opportunity to move people to and from the second floor of the arena, which, as you know, is a great space for the Michel de Prado Hall, the community kitchen area that exists there, and other facilities. In addition to the emergency preparedness piece of connecting a modernized elevator to the generator, we would also be able to tap into some much needed accessibility enhancements to the elevator in itself. Presently, the interior cab buttons do not align with modern day accessibility requirements. They're too high. They also lack the presence of braille. There's no emergency lighting, in addition to other opportunities to really enhance that space for users. So ultimately, in looking at opportunities to access funding, the Enhancing Access to Spaces for Everyone grant would potentially provide $60,000 if successful to offset the cost associated to this modernization project. In preparation for, hard to believe already, 2026 capital projects, this was likely to be an ask, as there is an expectation that from the consultant report, the work would have needed to be done within 6 to 18 months. Again, we're on a bit of borrowed time with the elevator, but like I said, we're fortunate that it's still fully functioning. So if successful, as I mentioned, with the funding, paired with potentially capital funding for 2026, we would hope to see this project implemented pending council's approval. So subject to any questions, ultimately the Community Services Department is looking for council's support to at least apply for this grant application towards this project. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments? Go ahead, Councillor Madden.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Fully in favor of it. Question. Do we know if the replacement elevator would remain hydraulic, or would it be of a different lift mechanism?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'd have to refer again to the consultant's report, but my understanding is it would remain a hydraulic elevator.
Interesting. Okay, thanks.
And the number, the price tag of $150,000, and that's the total amount. Where did we get that number? Was that from the consultant?
Yes, so through you, Mr. Mayor, this was provided by the consultant. We have, in preparation for the grant application, sought out additional quotes from other providers just to make sure we're within a greater ballpark range of accuracy.
Okay, thank you. Further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, none opposed. Okay, moving on to CS 2025-16, Road Ontario Development Program Funding Opportunity. Councillor Madden.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Martin, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry receive staff report CS 2025-16, Rural Ontario Development Program Funding, and that Council directs staff to apply for funding through the Rural Ontario Development Program, specifically under the Economic Diversification, Competitiveness, and Capacity Building stream. and that the purpose of the application be to secure funding to hire a project coordinator to support the planning and implementation of strategic initiatives that align with the township's economic development goals.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the Community Services Department and Economic Development Department, once again, is seeking council support to move forward with another grant application aimed towards supporting some of our internal economic development efforts. We're in a very unique time right now with obviously the lagoon expansion and development projects underway that we think, you know, if successful with this grant and recruiting a project coordinator, there's some level of opportunity here to execute some of the strategies that have been developed over the year, but simply we haven't had an opportunity to hit the go button as of yet. So as part of this project coordinator position, we would be looking for the individual to assist with execution of, as I mentioned, some of those local economic development strategies, marketing, coordinating some stakeholder engagement with our business community, facilitating business attraction, retention, and expansion initiatives, as well as supporting tourism and community development efforts. So we would be looking to have this position exist for a limited duration of 6 months. We feel that would be an ideal time to execute some of the strategies where a lot of work has already been executed. It's simply a matter of having someone to hit the go button and really hit the ground running with some of these initiatives. It would be funded at 50% through the FOD grant, at 50% through the ROD grant funding. So there would be a cost savings to have this individual support the department. While we do have a dedicated economic development officer who, you know, is effective at managing a broad range of responsibilities, the scope and the scale of executing some of these strategic initiatives go a bit above and beyond the daily operation. So we do feel that the support would be a very welcomed addition to our team for a temporary duration to execute very strategic tasks and responsibilities. So subject to any questions, the Community Services Department is looking to move forward with this grant application.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, it looks like a good opportunity to kind of really be boots on the ground, so to speak. Just curious, when would I'm assuming this position would only be hired after we hear about the grant. Is that correct?
That's correct, through you, Mr. Mayor. So we do expect the grant announcements to take place most likely in the new year in January. So as such, following confirmation of that, we would be able to proceed with the hiring and moving forward with some of these items to execute.
So probably being like a spring type hiring for over the summer then? Is that what you're anticipating?
I would imagine so, yes.
Okay, well, that makes sense to me. The position will not be hired if the grant doesn't come through?
No, through
Right.
you, Mr. Mayor, we haven't dedicated any additional funds towards this position, so it would be an added bonus.
Okay, thank you. And last question, what would our share of that salary be approximately?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, based on the numbers that I've punched, and again, estimates, I think it would be fairly minimal when you factor in only a 6-month window of time paired with a 50% contribution. I would say no more than $20,000 at most to fund this position.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, none opposed. Okay. Oh. Wrong one. Okay, moving on to CS 2025-17, Green Municipal Funding for Tree Planting. Deputy Mayor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Cadell. Whereas the Township of North Glengarry is committed to long-term sustainability of its tree canopy, recognizing the vital role trees play in enhancing environmental health, community well-being, and township's rural character. Whereas the Township of North Glengarry is undertaking a project to restore the tree canopy at Island Park, be it resolved that the Council acknowledges that the Raisin Region Conservation Authority is applying for funding opportunity from the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Growing Canada's Community Canopies Initiative, geez, who thought of that, for Island Park Tree Restoration Project in partnership with the Township of North Glengarry.
Deputy Mayor, just to confirm, you said canopies, not cannabis? Okay, Stephanie.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Another funding opportunity, obviously, that the Community Service Department is eager to apply for. We were approached earlier this summer by the Raisin Region Conservation Authority surrounding a partnership on this grant opportunity. One of the key components of this project, however, is that the funding is intended to go above and beyond our normal tree planting efforts. So in looking at available projects that we could achieve, we've noted at Island Park, we do have quite a collection of trees that are now aging or dying and are now becoming a bit more of a risk and liability to the township and will need to be removed ultimately. So this is a component of the funding that is eligible to receive the 50% cost sharing model. So we do feel that by investing in some of these tree removal efforts at Island Park and obviously replanting newer, younger trees in more public areas of the park, we'll be able to achieve some success with this grant program while still keeping to our normal tree planting efforts across North Glengarry in partnership with the Raisin Region Conservation Authority. But as noted, it's particularly in the south side of the park that's obviously not very publicly accessed, where we're seeing an increase in some of the issues with some of the dead trees, and so we'd like to be proactive with this initiative, and we thought that this partnership with the Raisin Region Conservation Authority would be an appropriate use of the funds. So to support this initiative, the Community Services Department is seeking $2,500 as the contribution from North Glengarry. Obviously, an additional 50% of that would be covered through the grant program, but in reviewing our allocated budget towards tree planting efforts and other expenses that are captured as part of eligible costs, such as administrative costs, staff time, supplies and materials, as well as the tree planting, can all be captured as part of this budget. So therefore, we feel $2,500 from the existing operational budget would be satisfactory. The department is not asking for any further funding, but ultimately seeking council's approval to move forward with this partnership and application with the Raisin Region Conservation Authority. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Questions or comments? Go ahead, Councillor Manley.
Yeah, I think it's a great initiative, Stephanie. I think partnering with our conservation authority in something like this is the right way to go. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Councillor Madden.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree. Good idea, and especially that part of the park, cleaning that up and being sort of proactive before we have deadfall and before we have more issues in there. I think it's a good idea and a good use of the money, especially if we can get the grant out of it.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just, does this involve planting any new trees, or is it just cleanup?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, as much as part of this project will commit to removing dead trees, there will be a responsibility of the township to also plant new trees. For every dead tree that is removed, there is a ratio of 2 more that need to be planted.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Okay, good question. Any further questions or comments? Go ahead.
Would the new trees be a fairly good size?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we do have the ability and flexibility to select the maturity of the trees that we desire. So we do have some discretion. Obviously, more mature trees come with a more expensive cost.
Yeah.
So the $2,500 allocation could be eaten up fairly quickly, but certainly we do, as the township and the Community Services Department, recognize the value in seeing some of those mature trees ready to go.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. There are no more questions. Call the question. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, none opposed. Okay, thank you, Stephanie. Moving on to the Treasury Department, DR 2025-03, the McCrae Branch Abandonment. Councillor Cadell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Martin, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry receives report DR 2025-03, McGillivray McLeod McCrae Branch Abandonment. And that council proceed with the abandonment of the McCrae branch located upstream from Old Military Road, and that bylaw 24-2025 be read a first, second, and third time and enacted in open council this 11th day of August 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Robinson Consultants was appointed to review and prepare a report on the abandonment of the section of the McCrae drain, or the McCrae branch of the McGillivray-McLeod drain at the request of a landowner. Lauren Franklin from Robinson conducted an on-site meeting with the affected landowners and visited the site of the drain. After speaking with the landowners, visiting the site, and reviewing all available documents, it was the recommendation of Robinson Consultants to proceed with the abandonment of the section of the McCrae branch located upstream from Old Military Road. This recommendation was because it does not exist in the form prescribed, and reinstatement would not be practical, nor would it serve the intent of the original construction in 1952. The affected landowners were made aware of the process and invited to attend the meeting to consider tonight. If council does proceed to abandon this section of the McCrae branch by bylaw, it would no longer be considered a municipal drain. It would no longer be the responsibility of the township to maintain. The section downstream of Old Military Road will continue to exist and will not be abandoned with this bylaw. It will remain governed under the 1952 report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I'm going to open it up to the floor for any questions that you may have on this, just in case there are. So would anybody like to speak to this? Again, I'll just ask anybody would like to speak to this that are in the audience? No? Okay. Any questions from members of council? Okay. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, none opposed. Thank you. TR 2025-13 Q2 variance report, Councillor Manley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Madden. That the Council of the Township of North Glengarry receive staff report TR 2025-13, second quarter variance report for information purposes only.
Okay, thank you. Zoe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Staff have reviewed the budget as of June 30th for the second quarter. A detailed breakdown was provided by GL with comments provided by each department head. The variance for each GL was also included. Overall, the township currently has a 31% variance after the second quarter. This considers both revenues and expenses, and it is lower due to many projects not yet being completed. So we haven't seen those expenses hit the books yet, but we have been receiving our revenue. A variance for revenue and expenses, including capital, was also included for each department. One major trend was the hydro. The hydro account for certain departments was overstated due to invoices from 2024 being included in the 2025 budget. This will be corrected with adjusting entries. Staff will analyze the hydro accounts after the adjustments and continue to monitor them in preparation for the 2026 budget. Conferences and memberships are also higher than 50% variance. However, expenses are not steady and there are not as many expenses left for the duration of the year. Overall, each department is within the 50% variance for the second quarter, and staff will continue to monitor the budget and ensure expenses and revenues are being allocated properly.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments from members of council? Deputy Mayor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of questions. I know we talked about this before, but insurance keeps rearing its ugly head. And I thought we were going to get, quotes ahead of budget so that we could actually budget correctly on insurance moving forward. I thought that was the plan.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. That was the plan. There hasn't been any change to our insurance since last quarter. This year we will receive the quote before the budget and incorporate it into the 2026 budget.
Okay, so is this a legacy problem then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Then just a question with regards to snow removal and contracted services, because there it's fairly significant variance there. I don't know. I don't remember last year as being a terrible year for snow. I thought it was actually not too bad. Maybe that's just me. My memory doesn't go past yesterday, but I'm not sure why our contracted services are out of whack like that.
Tim?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it was a very, very bad year. We had to.
It was a very bad year.
Yeah, sorry. We had to.
I thought so too, but I wasn't sure after she said it.
Oh, that's right. I did get stuck. But so it's just based on the hours that had to be. Okay, thank you.
And through you, Mr. Mayor, to not really that it's an offset or a constellation. The year before, we had a very much we had the easiest year we ever had with barely any plowing.
I'm behind a year.
So it's really, you know, if we increase the budget to, you know, anticipate it, then, you know, it doesn't work. So we just try and pick the middle, and it's, you know, we'll adjust as we go, basically.
Understood.
Thank you.
Okay, further questions? Go ahead, Councillor Madden.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not beating this to death, just a question on the insurance. Have we been charged all of it? Are we paying monthly? Is it an upfront? What are we doing with it?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it is at the beginning of the year, so we have paid for all of our insurance.
Okay.
The only items we'll still see in the insurance are for the Community Services Department,
Right.
and they're remitted.
Okay. And out of curiosity, how are we doing quotes for it this year? Are we telling a broker to go to market, or, I mean, I know it's a limited market, but
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that's the Clerk's Department, and I believe they're going to.
So through you, Mr. We're looking at doing an RFP for our broker, is where we're going first with it.
okay.
And we're doing that amongst the other clerks within SDG. So
Okay.
Silk Glengarry is working on that for us right now. Kelly's working on that.
Okay.
And then the issue is that there's only really 2, possibly 3. So it's a bit of a monopoly. The other thing that you have to offset with insurance is the service. So with IPE, we have better service than we would have had with the other, but it also kind of varies depending on staff. So with, you know, the RFP going out for broker, then we'll look at the possibility of maybe going out to tender. But our increases are actually one of the lower ones within the county, and we pay less than a lot of the other municipalities, if you can believe it.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, the industry is brutal all the way around, personal, professional, everything is going up and going crazy, and I acknowledge that. But just, obviously, we want to control it here as much as we can, because it's massive, massive price tag. So, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none? All those in favor of the motion? The motion is carried. None opposed. Items under the consent agenda. Councillor Martin.
Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor Williams, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry receive the items from the consent agenda for information purposes only.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor? Did you vote, Councillor Mann? I didn't see it, sorry. All those in favor and carried. All in favor. Under new business, producer responsibilities of blue boxes, Councillor Madden.
Buckle up. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Manley. Whereas, under Ontario Regulation 391-21, blue box producers are fully accountable and financially responsible for their products and packaging once they reach their end of life and are disposed of for eligible sources only. And whereas ineligible sources, which producers are not responsible for, include businesses, places of worship, daycares, campgrounds, public-facing and internal areas of municipal-owned buildings, and not-for-profit organizations such as shelters and food banks. And whereas failure to include ineligible sources under the Ontario Regulation 391-21 Blue Box program is in essence a provincial tax on ineligible sources. And whereas, should a municipality continue to provide services to the ineligible sources, the municipality will be required to oversee the collection, transportation, processing of the recycling, assuming 100% of the cost, which amounts to yet another provincial municipal download. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry hereby requests that the province amend Ontario Regulation 391-21 Blue Box so that producers are responsible for the end-of-life management of recycling product from all sources, and further, that Council hereby requests the support of all Ontario municipalities. And further, that this resolution be forwarded to the Honourable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, the Honourable Todd McCarthy, Minister of the Environment, Conservation and Parks, Mike Harris, Minister of Natural Resources and Forestry, Rick Breesy, Nolan Quinn, Member of Provincial Parliament for Stormont, Dundas and Glengarry, Minister of Affairs and Housing, Rob Flack, and all Ontario municipalities.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments on this? I think it's fairly straightforward and needed, and I think that we'll be doing some advocating at the AMO conference coming up, and I think a lot of municipalities will be doing that as well. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried, none opposed. Advocacy for increased income support thresholds for Canadian veterans. Go ahead, Councillor Cadell.
Thank you,
I don't know,
Mr.
maybe
Mayor.
they didn't like this side of the table with all these long.
Moved by myself and seconded by Deputy Mayor Williams. Whereas the Township of North Glengarry recognizes the selfless service and enduring sacrifices made by Canadian Armed Forces veterans in the defense of our country and values, and whereas the current $20,000 annual income threshold for Veterans Affairs Canada's Income Replacement Benefit, our IRB program, does not reflect the rising cost of living in Canada. And whereas this outdated threshold may discourage veterans from seeking employment or reintegrating into their communities due to financial penalties. And whereas all levels of government have a responsibility to support Canadian veterans and ensure they can live with dignity and financial security. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry urges the Government of Canada to increase the IRB eligibility threshold to no less than $40,000 annually for single-person households, and that Veterans Affairs Canada be requested to review and modernize all income support programs to reflect the current economic realities facing veterans, and that this resolution be sent to the Right Honourable Mark Carney, Prime Minister of Canada, the Honourable Jill McKnight, Minister of Veterans Affairs, Eric Duncan, MP for Stormont, Dundas, Glengarry, and all 444 municipalities in Ontario, and the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, AMO.
Thank you, Councillor. Any discussion on this motion? All those in favor? Motion is carried, none opposed. Okay, notice of motion, our next regular meeting of council is September 8th, 2025. If I could just ask staff in maybe the second meeting of September or in October, could we get an update on our strategic plan prior to going into budget? Question period. Are there any questions from the audience? Go ahead. Please identify.
Thank you. Heinz Kasman. I have just one question regarding the minutes from Wednesday, July 23rd, and it's in regards to point number 5, C, which is a motion that was defeated. I was just wondering, is it possible to include the details as to how it was defeated, the votes as to pro and con, so it is on public record for everybody to see what happened and who was voting for and against, please?
So, unfortunately, there was no call for a recorded vote, but I think watching the video, you would understand that it was tied, I think, 3-3, and you could see who voted for and who voted against based on that.
I understand that, and I had been present that day as well. I just ask that, in general, moving forward, that it will be possible to include this in the minutes as a specific record, so it can be read in the future as well when you come back to a vote at one time or a decision, and you're wondering why it has been defeated.
Right.
So, just talk about full
again,
record.
unfortunately, in the municipal act, it's not. The recorded vote has to be asked by a member of council, and usually on some, maybe on some big items, a member of council will ask for a recorded vote, but it's generally just by a show of hands, which again, you can see online who has voted for and who has voted against on these things. But they are not part of an official record. It's just it was passed or it was defeated.
Yep. It was like, I just wondering, because it was an item as well that was dear to some individuals within the community specifically, because it was in regards to extending the
Yes.
circle of information, and it was interesting to see who has voted for and against. It's just moving forward to be, how would I say, very informative, and to be in the record.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, just to, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to follow up on that, Heinz.
Yeah.
I voted against it.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah,
Okay.
so,
And my reasoning for voting against it was not the idea that I was against, the expanding of things. As you can tell from tonight's meeting,
yeah,
we did that.
yeah,
And then it wasn't part of the thing. So we can still do that.
yeah.
It's just we're not making it an official thing.
No, it's just, I'm not criticizing anybody in this case and saying, or
Yeah.
pointing finger this or that, or whatever, it was a clear vote, or I should say like a tie really,
Right.
And I'm just asking for, public record moving forward to make this available, this information available, so down the road we can go back in documents and see what happened really, It's just like a open,
Yeah. No, I
Record,
understand your concern. I'm just.
yeah, that's all I'm
Yeah,
saying.
The municipal act just does not allow us to do that, right? So,
Yeah, and I will say that there was some maybe clarity issues on how I voted. I thought that by 3 people voting against it, people would have figured out how I voted, but I as mayor, I do not just break ties. I have to vote on every issue, and hence when I say, all in favor, there are none opposed, that is also me voting as well, and I did vote in favor of the proposal.
Right.
So it was therefore defeated 3-3, and it's nice, that's why it's nice when we have all 7 members here at the council meeting, so that we don't have that issue, but unfortunately that evening we only had 6 people, so.
No, just because, and there were other incidences where there were votes, and it was recorded actually in the minutes as to who voted pro and con. We say yeah, no. So that, I'm just trying to see why it's been done sometimes and sometimes not.
Yeah, it's just usually, just at the request of a member of council, that's how the municipal act works. Most votes just go, and then sometimes there are some controversial votes, and sometimes using when, I'll use Maxwell Water as an example, when that went through, it was a recorded vote. The recorded vote was 7 in favor and none against to move forward, and it's sometimes just used to show to the public that we are all in favor of this project, or sometimes it's a closed vote and we want it on the record who has voted which way, but I understand what you're saying for sure.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions from the public? Go ahead, Ken.
I'm just curious, if you're putting a new elevator in the Glengarry Sports House,
Mm-hmm.
any way it can be put near the stairs going upstairs? I don't know, because engineeringly possible.
Yeah, and it would be a hefty price tag to move it out of the corridor that it's currently in. And the one thing that there is access. People come in, they take their wheelchairs, they go across the lobby. The door's right there, and then they go in, and that is also used for caterers and DJs and everyone to get their equipment upstairs. So I would say it's unlikely to ever move from that location. Okay, thank you. Okay, so there is no closed session tonight. Confirmation bylaw, Councillor Cadell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Manley, that the Council of the Township of North Glengarry adopts bylaw 26-2025, being a bylaw to adopt, confirm, and ratify matters dealt with by resolution, and that bylaw 26-2025 be read a first, second, third time, and enacted in open council this 11th day of August 2025.
Thank you. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. None opposed. And adjournment. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before I call for an adjournment, I'd like to make some comments on the north end cleanup in the bushes there, north end of Maxville. Looks great. Catch the ace for the Maxville Manor, nearing $1 million
Yeah.
for the jackpot, so get your tickets. And on next Wednesday is the groundbreaking for finally getting some visible construction underway.
Awesome.
So I'll make the motion to adjourn, seconded by Councillor Madden. There be no further business to discuss. The meeting was adjourned at 7:09 p.m.
All those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening, and we have no second, there's not a second meeting in the month of August, and we will adjourn into September when everyone's back to school and back to work, so, and we'll go back to work again, and so thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening.